Let's bring in Kevin Green, senior markets correspondent, right away to help set up the action today. All right, Santa Claus is here, KG. When I talk to the folks down here, they say it. When I get some of the notes from analysts, they say he's here. He was already here. And they're looking for, a tailwind through the end of this year. What's your take?
Yeah, I think that might be the case here, pretty much obviously making closing highs for the S&P 500. And you are seeing still a lot of sectors that are not making all-time highs here, Diane. So we do have maybe a little bit more room to the upside to run. And the amount of stocks that are above their 50-day moving average is also kind of at the median range that we've seen pretty much all year. So there's still some opportunity there as well. If you're looking at today's action, obviously a very low volume, low liquidity type of market. We do have an early close at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So I would not actually expect any type of major moves to the upside or downside, but this kind of does set up for maybe some optimism going into the remainder of the year. And if you kind of look at the past, the last 2 years, Diane, we have not actually had this Christmas or this Santa Claus rally. It's never actually happened that we do not have that Santa Claus rally 3 years in a row. This would be the first time. So it seems like the odds are kind of in the favor of the bulls at this point. And technically speaking, we are at a technical breakout level here. Let's see if we have some follow through.
Okay, so does the market still need communication services and information technology to do the heavy lifting?
It makes it easier for us to continue to move higher with those two sectors just because of the weighting. But we do not need it on an absolute basis if you do see a very strong rotation trade towards the remainder of this year. And that usually kind of coincides with these low volume type of markets and then positioning for 2026, where I know that you've seen this. You've had analysts on kind of talking about this. You're starting to see a lot more analysts being bulled up outside of the communication services and technology sectors. And if that actually is going to come to fruition when it comes to price action, then yeah, we might see the broadening. We can continue to see a move to the upside here. But also do not neglect the fact that NVIDIA technically has just kind of broken out and is looking for a follow through either day or week for next week. Getting above this 190 level is going to be very key. And I think that becomes a tailwind for the broader market. So do we need it? No. Would it be nice and it makes it easier for index traders? Absolutely, if we had those two sectors.
I literally was just checking NVIDIA to see where it landed because it had, and where it's sitting now because it had that strong move yesterday. So great point about the levels to watch out for there. Let's talk about the tailwind that we're seeing within the metals. You've got gold still inching higher this morning. You've got silver up as well. What are you across here?
Yeah, this is the FOMO trade at this point. I mean, obviously, we have talked about the fundamental factors here. You have central banks buying gold, buying silver. You have the expansion of fiscal policy in a lot of respects here in the United States. We are not seeing the deficit kind of coming in. And then you have the industrial demand when you're looking at silver, platinum, palladium, where there is a supply shortage. There's a concern about 2026, especially if you're looking at copper. And the demand story, when you're looking at artificial intelligence and building out these data centers here, you can make the case that a lot of these metals are going to be in high demand next year. So high demand, very low supply on a relative basis means prices move to the upside. And then last but not least, you also have then the retail traders kind of getting into this. And, Diane, I follow commodities on a day-by-day basis. You know that you get a little bit concerned if you're a commodity trader that every single day from every single network and every single analyst, even those that follow just equities alone, start to talk about the metals trade. So, be cautious out there. This could be one of those situations where a blow-off top does take place, especially in some of these metals like platinum and palladium. I mean, they've been doing a phenomenal job, but it's a very thin market. And at some point in time, a lot of the physical traders or those that are bona fide hedgers, those that actually trade in the physicals, could take some aggressive actions in order to lock in some of these higher prices, which could actually cap gains.
For gold and silver, does it have that same kind of year-end effect where we see, similar to what we see in equities in terms of the Santa Claus rally?
It seems like that's going to happen this year, Diane. Usually it does not have any type of correlation when you're looking at those metals, gold or even silver. And silver, once again, has been actually outperforming gold. It has been pretty much all year, right. But gold definitely gets the spotlight. But I don't believe that if you're going to have this kind of Santa Claus rally in the metals, I think it's more retail driven than a lot of institutional traders getting in at these particular levels. Because once again, it has been stretched. And we are going to see a roll off of a lot of these options on silver as well as gold over the coming weeks as well. That could also take a little bit of pressure. So you probably are also seeing kind of this gamma squeeze action happening in the metal space just in general.
Okay, let's talk Nike. Nike's shares right now gaining some ground off the back of the news. Big vote of confidence with Tim Cook buying shares. What's your take here?
Yeah, this is symbolic in nature. Tim Cook bought around $3 million worth of Nike stock at around $58.97. Now, $3 million is not that big of a chunk when you're looking at the purchase compared to Tim Cook's net wealth, but it is a signal and a vote of confidence for this company here. And we have seen the stock aggressively oversold. They are seeing some margin headwinds. We just saw that in the earnings announcements. And they do have some geopolitical risk that is out there when it comes to their supply chain. So a lot of headwinds, but it seems like Tim Cook is trying to signal to the market that he believes that this is a value area for the stock. And if you're looking at it from a technical standpoint, you can see why we are starting to get close to a very key area of support that the stock actually did consolidate for a considerable amount of time before buyers started to step in here. So not a big dollar amount purchase. This isn't a Warren Buffett type of billion-dollar purchase, if you will. But once again, it's a signal, it's a headline name, and let's see if the market actually tries to follow this trade.
All right, we will see what happens. Shares right now up 2% in the pre-market. All right, let's talk about the levels you're watching out for. So we punched through 6,900. Where are we headed today, potentially to the upside in terms of resistance and to the downside?
Yeah, if you're looking at the options flow, very low volume today. So you're looking at the upside, 69.20, to the downside, 68.85. We have a 14 VIX right now, so you're pricing in about a 0.8%, 0.85% move to the upside or downside. This is going to be a day, Diane, that we probably will get one or two mid-cap outliers to the upside that sees aggressive buying action. But from an overall headline index standpoint, I'm not expecting much for today.
Okay, all right. KG, I'm curious to know your thought on this, by the way. Since we only have, a handful of trading days left in the year, is 7,000 in sight for the S&P 500?
7,000 is definitely doable, Diane. I would not put it past us. Actually, if you look at the high to low S&P 500, I mean, we had this inverse head and shoulders. If you look at high to low, I believe it was around, 150 points, 180 points or so from high to low. If you take that neckline of 6,900, add about 150 points to that to the upside, yeah, you're looking at 7,000, even maybe 7,025. Could be possible, especially in this low volume environment. And we do not get any type of negative news, and NVIDIA continues to ramp higher here. I think it is definitely possible.
All right, thank you, KG. That is Kevin Green, our senior markets correspondent. Merry Christmas.